All right, welcome back to the show, and I'm pleased to be joined here in studio by Nick Stewart. He is a candidate for Baltimore County executive. Yes, it's election season. Can you tell me exactly how many days are left? Do you know?
It's 83.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Not that anybody's counting. Know how it is. Yeah, you got to know those days.
Got to know the days. June 11th is early voting, but June 23rd is the election
day. So June 11th is when early voting starts. So it's, 7 or 8 days of early voting, and then election day is June 23rd. So a lot going on in your world. You received an endorsement, and I know back in the day these used to be huge endorsements. Today, because of the climate that we're in, they don't always carry the same amount of weight, but I still think it's kind of a big deal, and that is the police department or the police union.
Yeah, that's right. So it's 3,200 active and retired police officers who decided that they're going to endorse this campaign for reform. And I think it is a big deal in this instance because we're talking about one of the pillars, one of the institutions of government on which we rely in such a great measure, who said, we're not just going to do more of the same. The safest thing for them to do is try to stick their finger in the air and figure out who looks like they're going to win this thing based off of maybe money alone. And we've seen some endorsements go that way. They said, no, it's time for Lionhearts. It's time for a different direction. It's time for reform. And so as the only candidate with any real plan for not just public safety, but for the entire county, they said that's something we want to be a part of, and we're willing to be courageous.
Yeah. So why do you think you got that endorsement from the police? Like, what was it that you might have said to them that you think led to them endorsing you over some people that they know pretty well? So several council people.
No doubt. So we are the fastest shrinking county in the state of Maryland from a year-over-year perspective. We have got to turn a page and actually start being a place that attracts investment and attracts new families. That starts with public safety. People are tired of feeling unsafe. And whether this is the juvenile takeovers, whether this is, having to stick their keys into tinfoil so that they can't be captured and their cars can't be stolen, people are tired of this. And so if we don't fix on this issue, this pillar of government will never start growing and investing again.
So what are we going to do? How do we do that? What is your plan from the public safety aspect in Baltimore County? We saw, you just mentioned takeover. We saw in Baltimore County at Towson. Again, what can a politician do about the parenting issue and the fact that 11 and 13-year-old spit on security and police and have to get carried out of the mall? They have their rules.
Yeah.
What are you specifically thinking that you're going to be able to do?
Again, and I would turn people to the website, nickforbaltimorecounty.com, where all of this is fleshed out in detail. But the truth is, we need more officers, and they need to be supported. We are down about 320 officers right this minute. We're going to be down another 200 in the next 18 months due to retirements that we won't be able to backfill. And we only have a sworn force of about 1,900, so nearly a third of our force. So if we talk about community policing, we talk about people being in the streets and cops being seen, they need to actually be out there. There need to be enough of them. Right now, it's sort of this duct tape mentality to try to get them to the next day. They need the basic supports that surrounding jurisdictions are providing that we are not. This is a take-home program. This is rifle-rated plates. This is enough training uniforms that they don't or are not issued. This is everything in between. This is gun crime intelligence and enough license seats. Right now, they have to borrow each other's passwords in order to have enough access to those seats. That's a problem. But the other thing we have to do is we have to actually turn a page on the grift and self-dealing that destroys morale. So if you look at our county council, including the three people, Julian Jones, Izzy Patoka, and Pat Young, running for county executive, they decided that they were going to secretly try to double their pensions on the way out of office. Imagine what that does to a police officer, knowing that their pension's not going to catch up. We've had 3 cost of living increases in 20 years for our other retirees. And this county council and these candidates decided to solve this problem for themselves in a way that was so secret, it was done in 2024 and only came out because Fred Holman, the former chief administrative officer, number 2 in the county, found it, put it all together, and then whistle blew so that we all could have this discussion about the county we want to be.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to vote or to take away that. Does it change anything if they do decide to vote and take it away?
Getting your hand caught in the cookie jar and then taking it out because it was public, I don't think is a profile and courage that I'd want to be a part of. And look, in a county in which we've had this issue over the long term, where it goes back to Ted Venetoulis and throw the rascals out, right? That we're at a point where if we're going to change our future, then we're going to have to change our elected leaders as well. It cannot be more of the same because we will get more of the same. I mean, remember, TJ, think about the secretive way they appointed Kathy Klausmeyer as the interim. Think about the secretive way they tried to oust the inspector general, or the secretive way that they drew the councilmanic maps, or the secretive way they entered into a settlement with Pat Murray that now we can't even review. We can't even discuss it because it's not public, or the secretive way that they tried to grift their own pensions or pension system. This is a problem for us as a county. So this is our moment to step up and say, we will not take this anymore. We have other choices. We have a bolder, more forward-looking choice, and there's a plan to back it up. That's what we stand for.
And again, we're speaking with Nick Stewart. He's a candidate for Baltimore County Executive. We have an election just a couple of months from now, and a lot of issues. Affordability is a big one. Housing in particular. You talked about the fact that the population is decreasing in Baltimore County. Housing, affordable housing, is a huge concern, but it's a lot of NIMBYs in Baltimore County, a lot of NIMBYs everywhere. And I'm not picking on Baltimore County, but I know that's how people are. I know if in my neighborhood they said they were going to build a whole bunch of more houses, I'd probably be on the picket line as well, because it's like already congested. We don't want any more. How do you square that? Because you think about it, I'll use as an example, Lutherville Station, one of the areas that has been talked about a lot. But people in the area are saying our schools are over capacity. That has not been addressed. The roadways already are over capacity. So how do you square that when it comes to being short police, not having enough seats in some of these schools, the roads not big enough, and the transit situation is what it is, but we need more housing for people. How do you square that?
Yeah, I mean, end of day, we have two choices. One, we can decide that we're going to build the walls really tall and try to prevent anyone else from coming here and just say, we're going to hold on to what we got. Where that leads is decline. We will be managing decline. It increases our property tax assessments. We've seen this. 2 years ago, the average property tax assessment increased by 24% in Baltimore County. Last year was about 11%. We're all going to be paying more for fewer services and fewer people doing the work. This is a recipe for disaster for Baltimore County. It might feel good in the short term to say we're going to hold on to what we got, but I don't think that's who Baltimore County is. I think that we are a place that is open for investment, that wants new families and new people to be a part of this journey too. And so the alternative choice is to say at places like Security Square Mall, which we haven't done anything with in 9 years since the county government really got involved, or Liberty Road, or Lutherville Station, which is on a light rail stop. Right, this is transit-oriented development, or downtown Towson, or East Point Mall.
But the people don't want it. The people in that area don't want it.
Right.
They fought against it. They have signs, they have campaigns against it.
Yeah.
While you want it as a politician, the people that live there don't want it.
Well, I'm not a politician, right? I'm a good government advocate. That is my background. That's where I'm coming from. But
well, they don't want the good government advocates putting departments in that neighborhood.
But the truth is, I don't blame them because from a government perspective, we don't often build beautiful things. We have lost the trust of the people that we serve. But imagine a vibrant community that has green space at its center, where you can take your family and spend the afternoon, where there's a coffee shop and a bookstore, where you have walkable access to a pharmacy, where you have a sit-down restaurant, and it's all beneficial in value. You can leave your car at home on the weekend, and you can enjoy your community. What is there now is a concrete jungle. It is wasteland for the most part. This is our opportunity to bring back the things that people loved about living here in the first place.
And I know housing has been a big issue for you. You've talked about it for a while. And I can't remember if I asked you this last time you were on with us, but the governor's plan when it comes to housing and the state owning some of the land that's out there, changing the zoning to lean in more on that transit-oriented development. What do you think about his plan when it comes to that, to try to lean in to some of the transit-oriented development that already exists and build there?
Look, I think we're on the right track, and particularly with Secretary of Housing and Community Development, Jake Day, their leadership together has been pretty remarkable to paint a picture of not just Baltimore County, but of a state that is using planned and smart growth effectively to add more families, but also more value and more tax revenue coming in without destroying the underlying character of those communities. The truth is, we fear change. We really do. But the status quo is not an option. Either we're going to continue to lose people and lose tax dollars and all be sitting and wondering what happened to us, or we're going to be able to grow again, not for the sake of growth, but because we have an opportunity to build vibrancy as a community. If you really love the way Security Square Mall looks and feels right now, I'm probably not going to be your candidate. I'm really not. But if you'd like something that is community-led development and driven by the things that we all want and the stuff, the amenities that we all want, that's what we have to offer. Let's get back to basics. Instead of pay-to-play politics in Baltimore County, and you know it, right? Things that get done, the developments that get done are because they own their council member, including those folks who are running for county executive. They have a long history of this. If you want it done the right way, where it's because of the merit of what you stand for, not who you know, that's what we have to offer.
And again, we're speaking with Nick Stewart, who's a candidate for Baltimore County Executive. And you talked about Security Square Mall. And just for the record, the county itself purchased the Sears building, the Macy's building. I think they might own that now, but it was very complicated because of the ownership over there. But speaking of Security Square Mall, that's been talked about for redevelopment for a number of years, even incorporating the Red Line in that redevelopment. The data centers conversation has come up with that space as well. Not that they're putting data centers there. As a matter of fact, there's like a moratorium in Baltimore County to study the issue for another year. What are your thoughts on these data centers that in some areas they're bringing a lot of money, but it's also going to be a weight on the electrical grid and water supply as well? And some people also don't want that in their neighborhood because I hear it emanates a bit of a hum, depending on how close you are to it.
Well, so to be very clear, our county council actually passed a law that said by right, we can install data centers in poor communities in Baltimore County. That's what we had to offer. And then the community rose up and said, we don't want this. And then they backed up and said, no, let's put in place a moratorium. Now, where are we right now? This is evidence of a lack of innovation and creativity. One of the only viable projects that has been proposed for Security Square Mall was a data center that would consume nearly half of the energy that's consumed by the city of Baltimore. This is preposterous. It's outrageous. We can do better than this. This doesn't add a whole lot of overall value to our economy. We are taxing our residents indirectly to support this. This is not the future for Baltimore County. And we have a very clear statement on this online.
So you don't want to do data centers at all in Baltimore County?
Not at this point, no. I don't think that they are on net beneficial to where we are or are planned for future growth and success.
And one of the areas that obviously has been controversial, you brought it up a little bit earlier as well, was the Inspector General position. And we are looking at Inspector Generals around the state, but particularly in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Kelly Madigan's moved on and went to Howard County. I know you're supportive of the concept, but you also have to work with the co-equal branch of government, the county council. Where do you stand when it comes to inspector generals? Is there anything you want to do to give them more power? Do you want them to oversee schools and school spending, things like that?
So I was vice chair of our school board. I am very familiar with the fact that it is a large bureaucracy, the 22nd largest system in the country. We need this level of oversight and impact. There's no reason to be against it like Julian Jones is. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. These things just don't tie together. If we want to break our reputation and, by the way, our experience as being a county that's engaged in a certain amount of waste, fraud, and abuse, this is critical. Look, accountability is a nice word to share, but it's where the going gets tough, where it actually matters. We all have to be accountable, and the systems have to be in place to hold us accountable. We are going to make mistakes. Have no predilections about that. We're going to make mistakes, but this is our opportunity to hold ourselves accountable and improve our processes. And across the board, to rebuild trust in government is step one for Baltimore County and for an administration.
Yeah, and finally, I just want to ask you again, Nick Stewart, who joins us here, when it comes to the direction of the party, whether it's locally with the governor or nationally with the Democratic Party itself, where do you most align yourself with? Because it seems to be right now with Democrats, you have a moderate type Democrat, you have the Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat socialist style, you have Bernie Sanders and AOC, although Bernie Sanders is an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. Where do you see things from your leadership style and your philosophy?
So end of day, TJ, I'm still a good government advocate. I want to talk about having people to have more affordable homes, not just affordable homes, but homes that they can afford. And I also want to talk about the amount of poverty in our school system. A third of our kids are living in a form of extreme poverty, and they're going to bed hungry, they're going to school hungry. Maybe those things make me progressive and liberal, but at the same time, I believe in public safety. And I believe that we have got to find more jobs in Baltimore County and to grow our economy. Some will say that makes me moderate. At the end of the day, I'm a solutions-oriented person. There are times where you're going to have to fight. And when, ICE comes into the school systems, you're pushing back, right? We need protocols in place, and we're taking stands as we need to. I'm a lawyer. I know how to do that. But most of the time, the way we can impact and ameliorate pain is to meet people where they are right now. This is jobs, this is schools, and this is housing. So much more that we can do right now, urgently, if we understand the assignment and our mission.
Yeah, Nick for BaltimoreCounty.com. That's where you go to learn more about the candidate that we're talking to today. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck. We'll likely talk to you and other candidates again before you get to the big day of June 23rd.
That's right. Thank you, TJ.
And we'll be back with more here on the TJ Smith Show.